Wimdily and welcome to this review of the Honda CT125 in the year 2023. My name's Fred Hope, my username is EpoDurf, which is Fred Hope backwards, and I'm in Rhode Island, which is a United State. There are other ones that you could go to. As you can see, I'm in an enchanted forest. I'm not going to do like a regular review of the bore of it is this, the stroke of it is this, the brake is this, because you can find loads of stuff about that. I want to see what this bike is like to use because it's an absolute unicorn. There are barely any in my country. You can only get them through grey import. There's not that many in this country, and I found a really generous guy who has said, why don't you come to the United States from the UK to have a go on this thing and see if you think it's any good. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ride it through the enchanted forest. So I'm going to ride it on a fast road. I'm doing 55! A slow road. I'm going to compare it to a Honda CT125 as that's what I've got at home. And then this one's a bit more. So I think that's baking tray. And I'm just going to see what the Honda CT125 is like to use in the year 2023 in the United State of Rhode Island. But you could extrapolate my experience to sort of gauge what yours might be like as well. So without further ado, we're going to get some looks at bits of the bike that I like, and then we are going to rip off. Woof! So come with me as we look at the Honda CT125. Let's go! So whilst we think about what this bike might be for, it's just about having fun. It's not the cheapest, the most capable, the fastest, the toughest. It's not really top of the tree in any particular category, but I think the sum of its parts make it a really, really compelling bike. And we're already looking at some of the bits. Luggage. When you're going out exploring and adventuring, you want to take shit with you. You want to film stuff and send it to your friends. You want to pack lunch. You want to take whatever. There's loads and loads of storage space. It's really tough. This is excellent. If you're going out having roughy-tufty adventures, hopefully you get to the point where you reach the envelope of either the bike's capability or the edge of your capability, and it's set up to survive this. So let's imagine it fell onto its right-hand side because you're riding like a dick. You've got this nicely protected exhaust, which is actually relatively strong. Protected exhaust. Foot peg looks nice and tough, and the brake lever is inside the foot peg, so you're not going to bend or snap that unless you're very unfortunate. The edge of the motorbike is protected by this bar, which you'd have to really do some damage to bend completely. The mud guard is metal. It's not going to crack, it's just going to bend, and you can bend it back. The mirror very cleverly sits just inside the edge of the handlebar, so again you're going to struggle to bugger the mirrors up, and it's also capped with a protective end plate. There's more squish. Are you going to snap brake levers? I don't know whether it's even fast enough to do that, but if you do, it looks like a fairly basic Nissin piece, and you just replace it. The back brake is ferocious compared to a little Cub 125, because that's a drum which I think shares components with the original Cub 90. This is a big, succulent, juicy disc. Oh yeah. Are you going to scuff this to bits if you keep crashing it and keep crashing it? Yes, you are. But you'd have to do a lot of scuffing and damaging. You've also got this lever here, which you can use for hitting your shin on when you're maintaining the bike. I'm told it also starts it. Again, the gear shift sits inboard of the edge of the foot peg, so that's going to be harder to bend. The foot pegs are slightly different. I think you can take the rubber out to turn them into proper off-road things. Here we go, look, we'll just lift one of the flaps, or the labia I think they're called in the Honda manual. And you can see that if you want to keep the flaps there, you can actually store things underneath there. What could you destroy on this? I suppose maybe some of the plastics if you leant it right down on its side and hit a rock. The clocks on this are much nicer. If we turn them on, they look a bit more rugged. And you can see that this little bastard has only used 1 particle of fuel, and we've been ripping them around for 2 evenings solid. But it looks to me to be quite a roughy-tufty interpretation of the Honda C125. But the only way to know is for me to have a go. So I'm going to get you some shots of riding past, I'm going to get you some shots of whizzing through the enchanted forest, and then we're going to go out on the road and just use it for a day, and from that you should be able to extrapolate whether it's any good for going to work every day. Is it good for visiting mates? Is it good for making shopping a lot more fun than it should be? Is it worth getting one? And hopefully we reach an answer, and from that you can see whether you fancy getting one. Can you ride the Honda CT125 through an enchanted forest in Rhode Island? Going to be a slow video of me slowly riding through an enchanted forest, so let's have a look. Can you ride the Honda CT125 slowly through an enchanted forest? Yes. Can you ride the Honda CT125 up a gentle gradient on a grass bank? Yes. Can you ride the CT125 down a piece of tarmac track? Yes. Can you ride a Honda CT125 through a gravel track in an enchanted forest that's full of deer? Yes. Can you take a Honda CT125 out onto the main road and ride it there at relatively normal traffic speeds? I'm doing 55! Yes. Can you find a modestly sized rock and ride over it and kid yourself that you're getting a little bit of air? All of this before you've even gone and done your shopping. Yes. Can you go to places, do your shopping and carry your shopping home in the most fun way with a Honda CT125? Yoo-hoo! Time for a quick refreshing drink of the state drink of Rhode Island. Coffee milk. What's it made of? High fructose corn syrup, coffee flavouring and the colour brown. You add milk. I've added whole milk. Don't even get into how the Americans classify milk, but I'm just going to drink it. 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah. Oh god. I think I'm getting addicted. I'm going to catch obesity and gout and high blood pressure and diabetes and all sorts. Nevertheless, I'll be sustained by this and we're going to hit the open road. Woof! You might be wondering whether it's any good to ride over bumps. There you go, I just rode over one. Just going to spin it round and we're going to go to the outside world. But to get to the outside world there's bumps and gravel and rocks and potholes and sticks and twigs and whatever, and it does it quite well. Better than a Honda C125. Before I slowly drizzle through the enchanted forest and onto the main road, it is worth saying that this bike, more than any other I've owned or seen people using, attracts really positive attention. It's not like you're a Hell's Angel, it's not like you're part of the cosplay club Harley Davidson. that do cosplay equipment and also happen to sell motorbikes. People that see you out usually see this enormous Cheshire grin on your face, and they can see you're having fun. You're not threatening, you're not loud, you're not ripping the ground up, you're not overtaking very much at all. And all the interactions I've had whilst I've been here with people have been overwhelmingly positive. So if you want a motorbike that's likely to elicit positive reactions from people as opposed to negative, CT125 might be your thing. Here's an idea. I'm going to leave the Enchanted Forest. I'm going to see how much fun it is to go and get a coffee from a local coffee roaster on a small CT125. How was the Super Cub to ride to go and get coffee? Very nice. You can aim at bumpy track intentionally just for the fun of going over something bumpy, and it quite likes it. 55 is as good as I got on this journey. We saw 58 out of it, curled up like a snail and really gunning for it yesterday with my mate Steve. But it's not about top speed runs or 0 to 60s or anything like that. One thing I would say just sitting here is that you do feel a bit vulnerable on it. I know I'm not wearing a helmet, it's perfectly legal, so stop trying to control me. You do feel vulnerable though, because the average size of American vehicles is flipping enormous, and even though it's hidden behind that pot there, the whole bike is much smaller than the front area of that truck, so it's a little bit daunting being a small piece of traffic, a particle of traffic, a molecule of traffic in a much bigger system. But apart from that, it's fantastic to go and get coffee with. And this coffee place is really busy. It roasts all of its own stuff in containers, and it is packed, and it's 10:58, if that matters. Can you show gratitude on a CT125 or be romantic? Let's see. I'm going to see if I can stuff some flowers in the boot. So, what's the old girl like on fuel? Exceptional. I'm being actively advertised at as I fill up with fuel.
We'll keep your car running.
How much did that cost? So I went from 2 bars of fuel, and it had been on 2 for a long while, so it's probably getting close to empty. I managed to put 0.779 gallons in, and it cost $3. Moist. And just before I piss off, there's a Dunkin' Donuts here, because there's Dunkin' Donuts everywhere, but they were conceived in Rhode Island. Nice. So this isn't even my motorcycle. I'm just borrowing it from a friend. These are his wife. I reckon. Oh.
I can cut just a little bit more and then wrap it, okay?
Yeah, go for it. Okay. Thank you very much. So can you be romantic with a Honda CT125? Oh, yeah. Okay, this next bit is going to be about as scary as riding one of these gets. It's pulling onto a big, fast main road. They don't accelerate quick, even less so when you're in the wrong gear. And you do feel small and a bit vulnerable, but you've just got to try, haven't you? So what can I conclude about the Honda CT125 in the year 2023 in the United State of Rhode Island? I really like it. I'm biased because I'm already interested in the niche. I've got the road-going version, or the road-going cousin of it, and it's something I can't have. So that instantly makes it a bit more appealing. But as I sit here in the Enchanted Forest, I wonder, is it just worth the money? No. £5,000 in the UK, $8,000 in the US. It's not worth the money from a value point of view. But in terms of the smiles you get from it, in terms of the positive reactions you get from people, and in terms of the fun it not just allows you to have, but like encourages you to have, because it's got the capability of doing gentle off-roading and is Honda built, so it should be incredibly tough. You can go almost anywhere on it, or at least have a go at going almost anywhere on it, and there's no menace to it, unlike a big adventure bike or a powerful bike that you might be able to take off-road technically if you're a really talented person that's had loads of experience. You don't need talent or experience, you just need the willingness to go and have fun. And for that reason, paired with its rarity, certainly in Europe and the US, I think that if you're watching this video and you're pondering whether you might like a Honda CT125 or not, you're probably biased as well if you're watching videos about them. I'd say give it a go, and at the very worst you hate it and sell it and you lose almost no money. So the CT125 is alright by me, and I'm going to carry on using it as much as I can before I leave to go to the next piece of the United States. One final very important thing to say is that without the Honda C125 I would not have met Steve and his wife, and I would not have been offered this brilliant opportunity not just to use the motorbike but to meet some seriously good people and to kickstart what's going to be a bit of a serious tour around America, seeing new people, old important people. So if you did buy a Honda CT125, you might find that triple cool things start happening, especially if you made an inane video and put it on the internet. So if you're thinking about it, I'd say roll the dice, and then you can always back out with very little financial wounding. Give it a go.